Hi all, welcome back. I played that as a reminder not to denigrate America, but to use it as a platform to build something better, to be the country we want it to be, not what we thought it was, where we're not judged of how great the country is because of our military might or sport or some other banal subject, but how we built the people up into a role model to follow and a progression for our youth, how we created one vast community of caring and sharing. Now, two things jump out from that speech. He said America's military spending was 26th back in 2013 when that piece came out. Now, just 6 years later, it's 17th. The 17th highest spending on the planet. And as for the idea, it was all so much better in the old days. It wasn't. It just wasn't. All these same clowns that we discuss in these shows were all still there back then and planning our demise. The only difference now is you know about what they are and what they were doing. Illusion and ignorance is not and never was the good old days. So this sub-intel will connect certain dots. The attorneys for the former White House counsel Gregory B. Craig said Wednesday that he expects to face federal charges in the coming days in relationship to legal work he did for the Ukrainian government back in 2012. Now, the expected indictment, which his attorneys called a misguided abuse of prosecutorial discretion, stems from work Craig did with GOP lobbyist Paul Manafort on behalf of the Ukrainian Ministry of Justice in 2012. Now, at the time, Craig was a partner at Skadden, Arps, Slate, Meagher and Flom, the law firm he joined after ending his tenure as counsel to Barack Obama. Footnote to that piece: I guess we are biding our time for him. Hold the next two pieces I'm about to read out in your mind when the intel piece comes out. Mr. Trump speaking to Jewish Republicans on Saturday. Trump claimed a Democratic victory in 2020 would be damaging for Israel. And in response, the executive director of a group representing Jewish Democrats lamented the president's assault on decency and the truth and criticised his remarks about the impending Israeli election. Now, speaking at the annual meeting, Trump touted two precedent-shredding actions, moving the US Embassy to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv and the recognition of Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. We got you something you wanted, Trump said, adding, unlike other presidents, I kept my promises. Now, the RGJC backed Trump in 2016, and it is backed by Sheldon Adelson, a casino magnate and a right-wing megadonor. Now, on Saturday, Trump met Adelson before speaking, and Adelson and his wife received a standing ovation when they entered the ballroom. Now, back in 2016, the Adelsons gave Trump $30 million for his campaign. They then followed that with $100 million for Republicans in 2018. And in November, Miriam Adelson joined Elvis, Babe Ruth and other famous Americans in being awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I know that the Republican Jewish coalition will help lead our party to another historic victory, Trump said. We need more Republicans. Let's go so we can win everything. And Jewish voters are often liberal, but Republicans hope to narrow the gap. Trump earned standing ovations for the embassy move and the Golan Heights recognition. Keep that in mind. US President Donald Trump has designated Iran's elite Revolutionary Guard Corps as a foreign terrorist organisation, and this is the first time the US has labelled another nation's military as a terrorist organisation. And Iran swiftly retaliated by declaring US Central Command as a terrorist organisation. And the Washington-Tehran tensions have risen since Mr. Trump withdrew the US from the International Iran Nuclear Pact. Keep note of that. Numerous of Iran's Revolutionary Guards and affiliated entities have previously been subject to US sanctions in connection with alleged proliferation activities, support for terrorism, and also human rights abuses. And Mr. Trump's statement this week said this unprecedented step, led by the Department of State, recognises the reality that Iran is not only a state sponsor of terrorism, but that the IRGC actively participates in, finances and promotes terrorism as a tool of statecraft. Keep that in mind for the intel piece. The next three pieces of the sub-intel, before we go into a break, and then we're going to come back with the intel, are all connected and telling when information is merged from some of our previous shows. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin, yeah, I said it right, is about to lose two of his most trusted aides, just as House Democrats ramp up pressure on his department to release Donald Trump's tax returns. Eli Miller, the Chief of Staff at Treasury and former Trump campaign official, will leave the department next week, according to a staff-wide email that was sent last Friday. Close Treasury observers say Miller is expected to join the private sector, and in a statement, Mnuchin called Miller an instrumental leader who has been constantly at my side, and he will be very difficult to replace. Assistant Secretary of the Treasury for Public Affairs, Tony Sayegh, also plans to leave by the end of May and is interviewing candidates for his replacement at the agency's top communication official. Next piece. US Secretary of Homeland Security Kirstjen Nielsen, who enforced some of Trump's controversial border policies, has resigned. Ms. Nicholson called it an honour of a lifetime to work in the department. Trump tweeted she would be temporarily replaced by a Custom and Border Protection Commissioner, Kevin McAleenan. Ms. Nielsen was responsible for implementing the proposed border wall and the separation of migrant families. And Ms. Nielsen first joined Mr. Trump's admin in January 2017 as an assistant to the former Homeland Security Chief John Kelly. And she became Mr. Kelly's deputy when he moved to become White House Chief of Staff, but returned to lead her former department later that year. Ms. Nielsen defended border policies such as holding children in wire enclosures, according to the media, in the face of strong condemnation and intense questioning by Democrats in Congress. Final piece. The U.S. Secret Service Director, Randolph Tex Alles, is stepping down from his post. In the latest shake-up at the Department of Homeland Security following outgoing Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen's resignation. Now, sources said on Monday that Allez was notified 10 days ago to prepare an exit plan, in a signal that a transition in leadership at the Department of Homeland Security was imminent. Allez was told that he should be prepared to leave his post as the head of the Secret Service as part of that transition, and the United States Secret Service Director, it was said, had done a great job at the agency over the last 2 years, and the President is thankful for his 40 years of service to the country, according to the White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders. Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security, and the Treasury. Tie them all together.